welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Trish. I am an ambulatory wheelchair user, and I use this channel to share what my day-to-day life is like. In just a few days, we will be off on a road trip. We are headed to Pigeon Forge. We have rented a condo there, but we are taking an extra day on the way there and an extra day on the way back so we can kind of meander and see what we can explore. Because I love road trips. I like taking my time. I like finding new things. It's just so much fun. As a wheelchair user with several chronic medical conditions, a road trip can also be very challenging. In this video, I will talk about some of those challenges that I face as a wheelchair user when taking a road trip, and some tips that I have learned along my journeys. Even if you're not a wheelchair user, some of these tips will also be helpful for you when taking a road trip, so please keep watching. If you are new here and would like to see my adventures, please hit that subscribe button. When taking a road trip, or really any kind of traveling, as a wheelchair user, planning is essential. A good plan is the base of a good trip, which I don't like to plan. I like to be spontaneous, but I had to find a balance between the two. I always start by researching accessible options where I want to go. Or sometimes if I don't know where I want to go, I just research accessible destinations. Since we live in a time with wonderful technology, that is very easy to do. There are tons of online resources. There are a lot of blogs and vlogs that will share accessibility with you, and I hope that I'm one of those, because I always try to talk about the accessibility anywhere we travel. There are also tons of online Facebook groups. Actually, when I was planning this trip that we're going on, I got it on a Facebook group and asked a few questions and got a lot of really helpful answers. The best advice will come from other wheelchair users. And the very best advice comes from wheelchair users who have the same needs as you, because there's tons of reasons to use a wheelchair, and there's tons of different ways to use a wheelchair. Me personally, I am an ambulatory wheelchair user, but the amount I can walk gets smaller all the time. I can stumble around my house, I can go small amounts of my cane, but I can't navigate a grocery store. I need a wheelchair for that. Other people may just need a mobility device for long distances, and there's other people that need it for everything. So you will get the best advice from someone who has a similar life experience as you. The next thing that needs planned out is before you hit the road, you need to make sure your vehicle meets your needs. Not only does it have to be dependable enough to get you where you're going, but it also needs to fit your wheelchair well. It needs to be easy to get it in and out because road trips come with stops. Take a good look at the vehicle you plan on taking and consider factors such as the size of your vehicle, how many people are traveling with you, how much luggage will you have, and make sure that that car is going to be good. If not, you may want to consider renting a vehicle. Next, I want to talk about packing. I hate packing. I hate it so much. I haven't even started yet. I'm going to do that in the next few days. When you are packing for your road trip, make sure you really sit down and make a list of any special needs you may have. Don't forget to pack whatever you need to repair your wheelchair if things would go south with that, because it happens. Pack all your medical supplies. Double, triple check that. Any comfort items you may need, pack. Like special cushions or a weighted blanket, any kind of dressing aid you need. That stuff is not something in general you can just go grab at a store if you forget. Like toothpaste, you can just grab. But you can't just go grab medication. You can't just go grab, specialized medical equipment. So make sure you have it before you leave. Make sure the clothing you pack is comfortable, especially if you are not used to sitting in your wheelchair all day, and then you will be as you're traveling around. All right, next up, I am getting into the very most frustrating part of traveling for me, and that is finding accessible accommodations and attractions. In the US, we have something called the ADA, the American with Disability Act. So, in theory, everything would be accessible, right? Nah, not even close. Sometimes things are legally accessible, but that does not mean they're actually accessible. Some of the designs I've seen are just horrific. Like, if a ramp is straight up, I'm not going to be able to get up it. Might be fun going back down. So, through research, usually you can find accessible attractions and accommodations, but it can be hard work. When booking accommodations, make sure that that place has the accessibility that you require. And also double check. Do not assume because you book a handicap room in a hotel, you're getting one. That happened to me over the winter. I even checked in my wheelchair. They didn't say a thing. I get to my room. It is not handicap accessible. We were only staying one night. I made it work. But that doesn't always happen. It's not always able to be worked with. There could be steps. That happened to me a while ago. I had booked a handicap room and I actually got a room that was only accessible by steps. And there were non-handicapped people in all the handicap rooms, which is not supposed to legally happen. Like, once you book a handicap room, they're supposed to reserve it for you. They are not supposed to put someone else in it. But it does happen. So, double check, triple check if you have to, that they know you need that handicap room. If you're booking like through Vrbo, get a hold of the hosts unless they specifically list what handicap features the place has. Because I got a hold of a host when we were booking this trip because their listing was labeled as handicap accessible, and when I got a hold of them to confirm it, their listing was not handicap accessible. So the listing could just be wrong. The place I ended up going with had it all laid out. It said what floor it was, that it was accessible by elevator, that it had wide doorways. It does not have like a handicap accessible bathroom, but I did not need that. And we booked it. I was very discouraged with the Gatlinburg Pigeon Forge hotel offerings because I had wanted to stay in like a non-chain hotel, but a lot of them didn't have much as far as accessibility. So a condo was what we went with. As far as activities go, research is essential. I keep saying that, but it is. It's very important to know what you're going into. And that doesn't have to take spontaneous travel off the table. Like, if we decide we're going to do something as we're driving, I will just pull up my phone, Google it, look at a YouTube video, something real quick, just to make sure that I can navigate it. Most popular tourist destinations have come a long way with accessibility. There are accessible trails. Most museums and such are totally accessible. The problem comes into play when you're looking at smaller attractions usually. These videos always get so long, but I feel like I have so much to talk about. So if you're still with me, thank you. I am almost done. The last thing I want to talk about is overcoming road trip obstacles. Crap happens. Even with the most careful of planning, things can go wrong. Traveling as a disabled person requires a lot of flexibility, and it requires the ability to adapt. And sometimes you have to adapt quickly. I suggest making a list of backup attractions you'd like to visit. Sometimes accessibility features break, the information you find on the internet is wrong. Things happen. Road trips are about embracing the unknown and having an adventure, so just try to stay positive. Sometimes veering off your plan is actually great. It turns out better than you could have expected. I hope the tips in this video help you plan your own awesome accessible road trip. And whether you're a wheelchair user or not, I hope you got something out of this video. I want to encourage others not to let disability hold them back from traveling. Traveling is wonderful, and even though it's a little harder, disabled people can totally travel and enjoy themselves. I know I do it a lot, and I love every moment. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you are new here and want to see some accessible adventures, please hit the subscribe button. I vlog almost every day, so I'll see you soon.